Hello, my fellow Nerd Knights friends and viewers. Welcome to episode 1 of our painting series for Tiny Epic Dungeons, where we're going to be doing all of the heroes for Tiny Epic Dungeons. First off, as always, if you are new to the series or new to the channel, I always like to thank my YouTube members because you guys are awesome. You guys get first picks of what you want to see next. I have a ton of games coming out. Massive Darkness just gave me a shipping notification through Quartermaster. So we got that coming up. We have Bard Song. We have a bunch. First time at the channel, though, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up, hit that like, hit that bell, and let's go. Obviously, the first thing we're going to be doing is scraping off the nasty mold lines on these. This isn't that bad compared to some things, but it is relatively bad. Next, we're going to paint some sticky tack on some old spray can caps, and we're going to start putting our miniatures on that. And we're just going to prime it in black. I'm using an airbrush, but if you have spray paint, which makes it easier, do that. I just like to make it easy as possible. With our first base tone, we're going to be painting all of our skin in Cadian Fleshtone. Now, I primarily use Citadel paints because I started painting miniatures when I was very young, and Citadel was the first and only thing around, really, that I could get my hands on when painting Warhammer. So I use Citadel. Besides, their products are really good. Most of them are really good. For our Ancient Wizard beard, we're going to be using some Celestra Grey on the beard and the hair. Now, this is a very tiny miniature, so this is going to be a little bit of a more drawn-out process because you need to take your time. You can't do large surface areas, really. So I'm using a very small brush, a 10-0 brush from Rosemary & Co. that you can look into on my list below. Next, I'm going to be using some white on the eyeballs and on the top of the staff. I'm also using this on the white portion of the amulet that is stuck in the beard. For the book, I'm using Mournfang Brown. You want to do this on the back and the top and the sides of the book. For the pages of the book, we're using some Rakarth Flesh. From the first ribbon of the book, we're using some Thousand Suns Blue, and then we're going to use some Kabalite Green in the next slide that you will see. For our staff, we're doing some Dryad Bark. For all of the gold pieces, we're going to be using some Retributor Armour. This is going to be on the parts of the beard to include the amulet, the top part of the shoulders, the gauntlets, and little pieces of the robe here and there. And for our last base color, because we're going to be doing the robes very last, we're going to do some Skavenblight Dinge on our shoes of our ancient wizard. To start with our washes on our base colors right now, we're going to be doing some Reikland Fleshshade onto the face. If you get a little bit on the mustache, it's okay, but try not to do it. I know it's a very small surface area. We're also going to be using this on the hands, and don't forget the thumb that is on the top portion or the bottom portion of our ancient book. We're also going to be using this on all of our gold pieces on our miniature. For our staff and for our book, to include the ribbons coming down, we are going to be doing some Agrax Earthshade. Now, we're not going to do anything else with the book. We want that to look kind of old and crusty. And finally, some Nuln Oil on our beard areas. While you're letting all this dry, head over to nerd.nights, our Instagram, and subscribe over there. We're going to be doing some contests coming up, and we're also going to be, well, keep you in the loop of everything else, but you'll see what's coming up. Now that our washes are dry, we're going to start with our first highlight, and we're going to be doing a reapplication of Cadian Fleshtone. Now, you don't want to do it all over the skin. We are primarily working on the raised areas, the bridge of the nose, the side of the nostrils, the cheekbones, the forehead, and we're only working on the knuckles and portions of the fingers. You don't want to overdo it. Less is more in this because you're going to see the subtleties of the brightness pop out. For our next highlight, we're going to be doing a 50-50 mix of Cadian Fleshtone and Kislev Flesh, and we're going over the same areas we just went on. We're just doing a little bit less, and we're building up those highlights. And finally, for our final skin tone highlight, we're using some pure Kislev Flesh. And again, we are not doing very much. Very, very little. You do not want very much paint on your brush. And all you're doing is creating that nice little brightness. So when you're looking at it, you're saying that you could definitely tell a skin tone as if it were being shined on by a light or the sun. For the first highlight of our hair, we're only going on the raised areas. We're not getting into the cracks or recesses of our miniature. We're going to be using some Dawnstone, and we're going to follow this up with some Administratum Grey. You're going to see in a couple slides. I kind of did a little bit backwards, but that's the colors we're going with for our wizard. We're going to re-brighten up our eyes with a little bit of white. And to create our glowing effect, we're going to take a little bit of a bigger brush and we're going to get a nice dab of some Aethermatic Blue, which is a contrast paint from Citadel. It's fantastic. And we're going to dab it into those eye sockets. Now, you might look a little bit heavy to begin with, but that's going to dry and create that nice glowing effect. It's super easy and super effective. We're also going to do this on the top of the staff to create that nice glowing effect, and the amulet as well. And that Administratum Grey that I was just talking about. We're going to utilize some Gorthor Brown just for the top part of our staff, those nice little rivets. Nothing in the recesses, just the top portion of it. And to highlight up our gold areas, we're going to take some Liberator Gold and just make them just a little bit brighter. This is going to conclude the base colors and highlights for the vast majority of our miniature. Now we're going to move on to the robes. We're going to create a nice purpley effect. We are going to take 2 brushfuls of Lamian Medium to 1 brushful of Xereus Purple. We're going to put this all over our robed area. This is going to take about 2 to 3 coats depending on how big your brush is. Once you let it dry completely, then you put the second coat on. You have to let it dry completely. You don't want to start moving it around as it is drying and pooling. It'll make it look like poo-poo. Once you're satisfied with your Xereus Purple base color, we're going to take some Naggaroth Night to 1 part of Lamian Medium, so 1 to 1, and we're going to put this into the dark recesses of our cape. So the front and the back, we want to create that nice little dark to lighter purple variant. For our next highlight, we're going to take 2 parts Lamian Medium to 1 part Genestealer Purple. So 2 brushfuls of Lamian Medium to 1 brushful of Genestealer Purple. And we're going to start building up our highlights on the raised portions of our cloak and robes. Again, this is probably going to take you 2 to 3 coats depending on how bright you want to make it. I ended up doing 3 coats of this, letting it dry, doing another one, letting it dry, doing another one. But it's all dependent on how bright you want those robes and how far you want to push it. Once you are satisfied with your previous color and the amount of brightness you want to go, you're going to add 1 brushful of Hoeth Blue, and we're going to push those colors to a purplish bluish color to make it some nice little tone. And you're going to notice that you're going to see just a very hint of blue that makes that cloak really stand out. While we're doing the front, we're doing the same exact thing. Now, you could technically end your robe painting right here if you wanted to, and I would be completely satisfied with this color, and I almost did quit right here, but I wanted to push the brightness of the purple just a little bit farther, as you're going to see in the next slide. That same mixture we have been using, add a little bit of Corax White. You don't want to overpower it, so just a tiny little bit, maybe a half a brushful to a quarter brushful, and we're going to push the raised portions on our back of our cloak just a little bit further to make it just a little bit brighter. Again, 2, maybe 3 coats, depending on how bright you want to make it, and we're just making those raised areas just stand out a little bit more as if it was blowing in the wind and the sun was catching those specific areas. For the front, we're only doing a little bit of edge highlighting on our edges of our cloak that are sticking out. We're not going overboard with the front. We just want to kind of push this in the back just a little bit. But again, this is optional. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to. And once you're completely satisfied with what you do on the cloak, we're going to move on to everyone's favorite part, the base, because it means we're done. I'm just going to paint an Abaddon Black and say, you know what, I'm over this. And look how good it turned out. Crazy, right? You did a great job. I know you did a great job. Send me some pictures on Instagram. You guys always send me pictures. I love seeing everybody's paint work and how everybody follows along. It gets me excited, gets me going, makes me want to paint more and put out more videos as quickly as possible. But thank you to all my YouTube members. Thank you to all my subscribers. If you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. We got so many games going out, and I'm not stopping. But until next time, paint on.